Professor Pestinji, Shraddha Bhavan, Pathak Sahab, other dignitaries, I think, who are going to lead the discussion this morning, all friends and visitors who have come for this conference. First of all, I want to thank the management of the school for thinking of me. And actually, I was not to be present in this particular day. I was going out somewhere, but there was a change in my program, and I said I'll be quite happy to just come and spend a little time. And when I was asked to say something, I said the only thing that I would like to talk is my latest work on effective people. And this has a little bit of history. This is the first time I have written a book which is meant for general public and not necessarily for HR managers or professors and so on. Before that, I wrote a book for IIM Ahmedabad, their Golden Jubilee celebrations, when they asked me to make available. I mean, there were a whole lot of us who were asked to do something in terms of those who didn't have an opportunity to go through IIM Ahmedabad. So they said, why don't you, can you put all whatever knowledge you have and whatever you are doing, teaching in the institute in a simpler way to make this book available to all people. So we have, the first book was by me on managers who make a difference. At the same time, there were a number of my colleagues. Somebody wrote on IPR, the legal parts of intellectual property rights. Another wrote on strategic thinking. Another wrote on persuasive communications. I think over the last 5 years, they have become a list of some 12 to 13 books, very popular books, available at a very low cost kind of a thing. When I wrote that book, I was looking at what is it that I have to communicate to managers anywhere. And I started reflecting my 45 years of work with different groups in the corporate sector, largely in corporate sector, but also with government, with NGOs, and with public in general, much less with public in general. And I classified people into 4 categories. Those who, first category I call them as doers, those who do what they were asked to do, either by KPAs, KRAs, or manuals, performance appraisal and things like that, or job descriptions. So there is a job description, it is given to people. Most of the life they spend only following meticulously this. And most corporations survive because of the doers. These are the doers. We say that these are the real workers. And I said there are people whom I think of who are not satisfied to be doers. They have a knack of wanting to do something better than the neighbor, better than somebody else, better than what they have done, I think, in the previous. So they always are changing their standards. And these I called as achievers. And then there is a third category, I mean, who not only achieve something, but they create a time for doing something totally different. They find time to do things that they were not expected to do. It's like Dr. Kurian, when I'm sure when he came reluctantly to Anand, he never thought that he's going to set up, do that wonderful creation called Amul, and subsequently NDDB, and later on Irma and things like that. So think differently. Or we had a number of students in IIM Ahmedabad, people like Vijay Mahajan, I'm sure they know you taught him, who I think after graduating from IIM said, I don't want to do the same thing which the MBAs will do. So I want to do something different. And that is, he found out for him an avenue where he could teach NGOs to professionalize management. That was in early 80s. He started that. Or recently we had students who said that I would want to totally in a different kind of field, like I'm sure you heard of the idli manufacturer, who didn't want to take any loan from anyone, started something on his own, started a food processing unit in Chennai, Sharad Kumar, and later even contested elections, knowing fully well he's not going to win. He said, I want to have an experience of it, and so on. Another chap who started an institution that teaches mathematics and science to 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade children. So he said, when I was young, I was lucky to be in a public school and learnt a lot. There are millions of children who probably are not that lucky. So can I now make them to learn maths and science well so that they can. So this is the kind of a book I have written. And that category I called visionaries. And the 4th category I called missionaries. At a young age in life, they are devoted to one particular I'm mentioning this because I started applying this to HR people. And I ask HR people to examine themselves. Where are you? Are you a syllabus follower, manual follower, or a KRA follower? Then you are a doer. Very good. Company needs you. You are an achiever, want to do better than somebody else, attend conferences, pick up something, benchmarking, and then wanting to do. Also good, because we need a few of you so that you set new standards. But I think you should be a visionary, because today, I think it is established beyond doubt across the world. If you are a good people man, if you are good at managing people, you can do anything on earth. All CEOs, recent Harvard Business Review articles indicate good CEOs are good HR managers. And also they indicate good HR managers, they did a 360 for several hundreds of them, and they found of not only HR managers, chief of finance, chief of marketing, all CXOs they surveyed, and they found that it is the CHRO's 360 profile which comes closest to the successful CEOs. And the recommendation is, even if you are a CFO or a CXO, try for some time to dabble into HR and things like that. So wonderful. So today I am convinced that today is the world of HR. I don't want to say today the world of HR managers. Unfortunately, HR managers everywhere don't have the same kind of an image what one would like to see as. Now, why is it this has happened? This happened because most HR managers reduced themselves to be the doers, or maybe achievers, not visionaries and not missionaries. Now, in my view, HRD is a mission. HRD is a mission. You have to constantly find solutions. And one thing worse that has happened in the life of most HR people, and since some of you are interested in recruitment and skill development and finding gaps, is outsourcing. Everything is outsourced. And in fact, most HR managers spend a large part of their time trying to find out consultants who can do the recruitment for them, and consultants who can also do the skill identification through assessment centers and fill the skill gaps through training. Everything is outsourced. As a result, you are denying yourself an opportunity to be the, even if you are a doer, I mean, you should be one kind of a doer rather than simply an administrator kind of a thing and so on. So this is one conclusion which I want to just pass on to most of you as HR managers. You need to be graduating from doer to a visionary, and you need to be dabbling in doing things rather than outsourcing everything and becoming over-dependent on consultants. In 1974-75 itself, when Uday Parikh and I conceptualized the HR department, one of the suggestions we made was the HR function should constantly be balancing short-term goals and long-term goals. There is always a conflict. And we also said HR should balance outside help with insider doing. 1975, we anticipated that at one point of time HR is likely to become too much dependent on outside help. We said, no, you need to do many things yourself and so on. So that is one lesson that I like to do. And the final lesson, I don't want to be spending too much of time. I already must have closer to the 10 minutes that was given to me. The final lesson that I like to draw is from the latest book on effective people. Now, 5 years later, after I wrote the earlier book, I started thinking that what is it that makes a person effective? And I came up with this definition that an effective person is one who discovers his or her talent. If you have to be an effective person, anyone can be effective anywhere. Anyone, irrespective of whatever position you hold. You can be an ordinary rickshaw puller and effective. Even if you are unemployed, you can be an effectively unemployed kind of a person. Now, there are many ways in which effectively unemployed persons make themselves effective. Discover your talent. How come you are able to manage to be unemployed? There must be something great in your talent. I mean, you start examining it. Now, there are some people who... So I say that the definition of an effective person is one who discovers talent, but here there is a trick, and uses it for making the difference in the lives of others. So now you see what happens to the unemployed fellow. But something happens to other people who are. If you are a doctor, if you have a talent, if you use the talent to make a difference in the lives of others, then you are an effective doctor. If you are a professor, if you teach to make a difference in the lives of others, you are an effective professor. And if you are a HR guy, if you use your talent to make a difference in the lives of others, then you are a... So I picked up I didn't pick up politicians, I picked up bureaucrats, I picked up professors, and I picked up doctors, I picked up film actors, and I picked up about 7, 8 categories of people, scientists and so on, and studied them. Through quite a bit of research, we identified some people. Ultimately, I had to bank on my own kind of experiences. And I discovered something very, very interesting. If you use, like if you are a teacher, if you teach to collect your salary at the end of the month, you are not an effective teacher, because you are teaching not because you enjoy influencing students, but you are aiming at 30th of the month or 1st of the next month and things of that kind to collect your salary. These are the people who agitate for salary increases all the time, looking for, because their primary purpose is, no, you're not an effective teacher. Same thing with doctor. If you refuse to treat a patient who can't pay you, then you're not a good doctor. A social worker, the same way. So by this category, you find, of course, you go to some of the good institutions, all teachers enjoy teaching, that is why they are there. They have most teachers, I want to say. Look at IIM and things like that. In IIM Ahmedabad, we have many professors who are all, I would consider almost everyone as an effective teacher, because you teach because you enjoy it. But there were some who are visionaries. Like we have a colleague, Anil Gupta, who is very restless. He started so many other kind of things. Honeybee Network, he started Srishti, he started indigenous, I think, organic foods and things of that kind. So many of those. Jagdeep Chokar and Trilochan Shastri. Jagdeep Chokar is a OB person, Trilochan Shastri is a Quanti person. Both of them started this Forum for Democratic Reforms. You can see the impact slowly of what is happening in the country, because politicians have to declare the criminal cases against them, their income, etc. All thanks to, I think, the work these people have done. Or doctors like Narayana Hridayaraya, Dr. Devi Shetty, I think all the time looking for. So when I looked at all these professions, I found 3 categories of people. Effective people who do their job in order to make a difference in the lives of others, whomsoever come in touch with them. It's very effective people who do their job, and not only do their job by making a difference in the lives of those who come in touch with them, they go out of way to get in touch with many more people. So their area of influence becomes a large. Sometimes if you can't go out, you write book, like Professor Pestonji's book on stress, or Uday Parikh's contributions, or many of you who write books. You are not satisfied with teaching in the class, you want the knowledge to be available, and therefore you set up research centers, you write books and so on. So these are very effective people who are spreading their knowledge. And I came across another category called super effective people. Now, super effective people are those who say, I want to disseminate my knowledge even when I cease to exist. Now, I found that these are the people who start institutions. Because you may not be there, you start an institution and institution survives. So you are able to differentiate, and you are able to make your knowledge available for. So my respect for all those who start institutions like this goes phenomenally up, because institutions have a lasting kind of an impact. So these are the 3 categories in this book, and I have a feeling that Pathak Saab is likely to pass on some information about this book to the participants. Maybe he wants to surprise you. Yeah. There are 8 principles I have drawn, how to move from being effective to very effective to super effective, like the 7 habits of effective people. There are 2-3 things I would say. First thing that I would say is constantly discover yourself. Second thing I would say is keep on experimenting. If you are in recruitment, don't stick for life to recruitment. Do something different. If you are using one agency, don't stick to that agency. If you are in one kind of skill development, keep on experimenting. This is the second thing that I would do. Third thing that I would say is periodically renew yourself. Use some other people around you to be sources and so on. Of course, the last 2 things I would say is have an integrated mindset, not a divisive kind of a mindset, and build institutions. See what is the way you can either institutionalize your talent or build institutions. These are some of the thoughts. I'm sure you can get access to this either on the internet, or if you visit my website, I think you will get all of it. These are just a few thoughts that I wanted to leave. I think it is important for all of us to self-discover, discover ourselves, constantly ask the question, how can I be of use to the society? How can I make difference in the lives of others? And when you do that, you will have a long life, very healthy life, and you will have a lasting kind of a life. Thank you very much for thinking of me and giving me.